Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to like other people's posts in an automated fashion using a script, or rather using Puppeteer and some code. So let's get into it. Now first and foremost, we have followed somebody, or like we have a few followers, or we're following some people on Twitter basically, and in this example I'm just following a local politician here or not local, but a Swedish politician, and what we're after is to be able to click this button here. Now this logic that we're going to look at is just going to focus on this button for brevity's sake, but you could apply this logic to like any button basically, and you can make this much more advanced. And I'll talk in a moment about why you might want to do something like that. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we require Puppeteer, we require our login modules, or the login module, and then basically I see that we don't seem to need the tweet module, but at least we need the login module. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to bootstrap up this self-invoking async function. We're going to instantiate our browser with Puppeteer. We're going to get a new page from the browser object, and then in the previous videos you've seen the login stages, so I don't have to go through that, but basically we will log into Twitter, and then we will run this like function down here on the page object and basically I'll just I'll touch on that in just a moment. And then we will log out the amount of clicks or like clicks that we have done. Basically, this is fairly useful to me. I like to have extensive logging when I have bots of this nature running or doing something, so I know that if something goes wrong, I know where it went wrong, and I know what the results of every action that the system is, or the script is making is. Yeah, the results basically. I get to know what's happening. And then we will wait for 2 seconds, and then finally we will close the browser. Easy peasy. So let's look at this. So our like function couldn't be more simple. This is the function you see up here. All it's going to do is that it's going to grab the page object and run the $sign evaluation on anything that has a .tweet. And this class name here is what you see. It's basically this entire element, this entire box here. And then it's going to run the click like function in the scope of the page, because remember, this function here is going to be executed on the page in the headless browser that Puppeteer is running. So let's look at that function now. So we're going to grab all the elements, because what's happening with the $sign evaluate function is that it's going to return us all of the .tweet elements that it found on the page. And then we have an inline function here. I'll talk about that in just a moment. So here's the bulk of everything. So we do array.from on elements so that we can run the reduce function. And basically what we're going to do is that we're going to start with a count of 0, and then we're going to loop through all of the elements that we find. So we do element.querySelector. In other words, we are querying on the like post, or the post, the tweet itself, and we're grabbing this selector here. And this is the selector for this button here. That's the selector. So we're going to grab that button, and then we have a conditional here. We are going to say, alright, if you find the like button and I think that you should click this button, then click the button and increment the counter by 1. Easy peasy. So that when we've done all of this, we actually have this number. This is the return number that we're going to give to that we get from the like function basically, so that we know how many likes we actually did. Now, I can tell you from experience that I've played around with this script a few times, because this is where you can make this extremely easy, or you can make it extremely complicated. And this function here, this is where the magic is happening. This is the decider, the part of our code that is going to decide whether or not you're going to click that button. And if you wanted to do something very simple, you can do what I have done. I've found that randomness is probably the best way to know if you should click a like or if you shouldn't click a like. And what's beautiful about this is that it's just like, which means that your system is now simulating a positive response to something, and all it's really doing is that it's giving positive feedback and doing it in a random fashion. The only thing you have to kind of watch out for is that if somebody is, there is of course always the chance that your bot is going to by mistake like something that is very hurtful or very bad or something like that. But that's semantics. Usually, these things it depends on what type of information flow you have, but for the most part, it's not going to be a problem. And you can always unlike things if and monitor things yourself if you feel uncomfortable about that. I've had great results with just running a random liking system. So if we look at this condition here, all we're doing is that we do math.random and we simply check. It's virtually a 50-50 chance if we're going to click that button, and that's kind of high. You could put it even lower or higher or something like that. And then we also have this little thing here that checks how many clicks we've already made. And this is just for the demo because I don't want to have to, when we run this, you're going to see exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to run, as we can see here, opening twitter.com, typing in login, waiting for login to finish. Come on now. Logging successful. Clicked 1 like buttons, and that's just this. It's just so I can stop the script, so I don't have to go back now. And because if I actually did remove this line here, it would run through the whole page and click at 50% at random all of the like buttons, and I don't want to unlike all the things that it clicks. So that's the easy way to do this. But what I think is very beautiful about this is that this little beautiful function here could also have been extremely complicated. Let's say that you wanted to have a retweeting system. Well, if you had something like you could actually do things such as start putting logic and human behavior into this. But let's just look at where the click. Yeah, here we are. So the system actually worked. It went to the page and it clicked this like button here. So I can unclick it, easy peasy. And as you can imagine, you can make this much more powerful. You could add logic such as you could query and check, is there an image on this post? Maybe you just want to click the like if there's an image, or maybe you just want to click a retweet if there's an image, or a video, or media something. I've found often that people are very visual, so it's very safe usually to have logic that checks if a post has an image or something of that nature, and then you retweet it, or you can make up your own rules for when you want to click one of these buttons. And you can even make it more fancy, which is what I think you should consider if you want to interact with some regular people. Because the thing is with liking, if your goal is to actually make people be interested in having an interaction with you and your Twitter feed, liking a famous person's tweets isn't gonna net you much. It's not from my experience. So you could have another version of this script that actually clicks the post like this, scrolls down, and goes to this section here where other people, like just most likely regular people, have posted their own comments, and then you can start clicking these things and start trying to figure out if you should click this button. I mean, you can make this immensely complicated, and it's actually great fun to trying to figure out how to whether or not you should click the like button or retweet. You can even have things such as trying to your system could try to comment back to somebody. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this sort of setup. And yeah, that's basically it. So now we are ready to take this script and put it on some type of cron job or scheduled job so that it runs maybe once a day, something like that, not too often, because if you run it all the time, if you, let's say you're using randomness, you're going to spam people with all your posts and likes and whatever you can imagine. So hopefully this was useful to you, and I hope you have a great day.